We've all seen post-apocalypses wrapped up in the trappings of 80s nostalgia before, but what about a post-post-apocalypse? The world has ended twice over, and it's a bit of a fixer-upper. So the remnants of society have decided to send teenagers out into the wastelands in order to breathe life back into the world. I mean, sooner or later one of them is bound to succeed, right? That's the idea behind RAD, a new roguelike light from Double Fine. We've spent a decent chunk of time in the game's earlier stages, died a whole bunch, and although we're itching for more, though that might just be the toxic waste, this game is no pushover. It's tough, but it's got its hooks in us, and we're pretty sure that if roguelikes are your thing, it'll get its radioactive hooks into you too. Here are 5 things about RAD that will make you scream. In a good way, we hope.
The first apocalypse wasn't much of a surprise. I mean, from what I hear, the ancients kind of had it coming.
So, welcome to the post-apocalypse. The world has been ended twice over and it isn't in good shape. Despite the toxic gases covering the land and the vicious monsters springing from it, there is hope in the form of baseball bat-wielding young heroes willing to lay down their lives and their good looks in order to make the world vaguely habitable again. That's about all you know when starting the game, and to be honest, you can probably play through the whole thing without knowing much more than that. This being a procedurally generated roguelike game, you have to look for story. Literally. The layout of the world will change every time you die and respawn, yet somewhere out there in the wilds will be stone statues which you can activate to gain little snippets of lore, backstory on the world, and the 2 times it ended before you began your adventure.
The evocation of which is said to imbue one with good fortune.
These story beats will then be added to your compendium, which keeps track of all the characters you meet, monsters you fight, items you pick up, and mutations you receive across your many lives. It also lists your endings, though we've yet to make it that far. So although you start a new life every time you die, it's good to know that you can still make a teeny tiny bit of progress by meeting someone or something new. And knowledge isn't the only thing that can carry over. In your base camp, you can craft new baseball bats that future heroes can then choose from, plant fruits that they can carry with them into the wild for a bit of extra health, and even make ATM deposits of cassette tapes, this world's currency, so that they can have a leg up on buying more expensive, helpful items sooner than they would otherwise be able to. Feels good to give to the next generation. I mean, it would feel even better to not die at all, but, well, you can't have it all, can you? So in addition to the procedural generation of the world, your powers are also randomized. Mutations are vast and varied, differing greatly in usefulness. For example, during our runs, we experienced a mutation that let us shoot fireballs, a mutation that let us throw our regenerating head around like a radioactive grenade, grow an extra baseball bat-wielding arm on our arm, grow a little backpack buddy that could attack independently and be deployed as a turret, and a mutation that turned us into a human-sized pincushion. The thing is, some mutations will suit your style and situation a lot better than others. Our little backpack buddy was hugely beneficial for crowd control, for example, and allowed us to go far. Our warhead mutation was perhaps even better, as our thrown head could be exploded on command and did loads of damage to enemies crowded into the cramped passageways of bunkers. But then we die, and get bequeathed mutations that didn't gel so well with us, and that can really knock your confidence for the entire run. You can even be tempted to throw in the towel, die intentionally, and take your chances with a new mutation. But that's just RAD playing mind games with you. Sure, yeah, you can get lucky and get the perfect combination of mutations to become ultra powerful, but in the end, any mutation combo is enough to see you over the finish line if your skills are on point. It's also important to note that some mutations are just upgrades of ones you already have, and then in addition to all of that, you can also be granted unlimited amounts of passive mutations from these nifty and not at all ominous looking shrines. Passive mutations usually improve your stats in some small way, increasing your health, your crit rate, your elemental resistance, or your chance to scoop up items from your surroundings. So yeah, expect the unexpected, for better or worse. You could end up with mutations that all work together in perfect harmony to make you the ultimate monster killer, or you could end up with powers that you basically never need or use. Yeah, it's frustrating, but embrace the chaos. At the very least, you've always got your trusty baseball bat. According to its developers, RAD gets a little more surreal and a little more disturbing as it progresses. But since we've only managed to make our way through the early stages of the game so far, we'll just have to take their word on that. Every run is different, but there are some constants in RAD's procedural generation. For example, the world contains multiple biomes, 2 of which we've managed to visit during our hands-on, which span the course of the story and which feed into the lore of the worlds previous to apocalypses and how they came about. Then there are the enemies, which are no pushover. Even on your 10th or 20th encounter with the wastelands' most common or garden monsters. In the beginning, bosses that guard the way forward to the next level will just be alpha mutants. Basically, bigger versions of the enemies you encounter out on the surface. However, dig a little further in and bosses are actually named entities with their own unique movesets and challenges. So be well prepared going into that boss structure because you only have one chance or you'll have to start again all over. Which is a good point actually, make sure you are saving and preparing for the next run, should it come to pass. After every boss run, you have the option to head back into the hub world to run errands, deposit cassettes, buy upgrades, take every chance you have to do just that.
Unlocked. You are not RAD. Sorry.
Because, well, we didn't, and we regretted it. There's nothing quite like racking up hundreds of tapes, taking the time to carefully comb the landscape for every secret and every little treasure it has to offer, only for it all to be lost in an instant. So spend or save when the opportunity arises. Related note, always carry a floppy disk with you if you can. You'll need these to open treasure chests, and you never know where one might turn up when you've got nothing in your pockets but faintly glowing lint. All that said though, when you do have enough runs of RAD under your belt, you do start to see patterns in the procedural generation. For example, underground bunkers almost always have a passive mutation and a shop hidden within their maze of rooms, and almost always have multiple exits with at least one housing a treasure chest close by. Note how we say almost always though. You should always investigate bunkers when you see them, because although they can house some dangerous monsters, you can teleport between their exits, and sometimes entering one way and leaving another is the only way to travel to a beacon that's essential for opening the path to the next level. Bunkers can also be hiding items that you simply won't find anywhere else in the world. Oh, and keep an eye out for some sneaky hidden paths.
Unlocked.
When you think about it, RAD is quite a dark game. These teenagers are going out, mutating their bodies, and ultimately sacrificing themselves to save the world. Most of them will fail and experience a lonely and painful death. That's pretty disturbing. But then there's a lot of humour in the voiceover and dialogue to stop things from getting too heavy. And of course, the neon visuals and procedurally generated 80s synth tunes definitely help lighten the mood too. And it needs that lighter touch, because RAD is hard. Double Fine reckons that it's not as difficult as some roguelikes out there, however, because the studio wants people to succeed and push forward in order to discover the world and the story hidden within it. There are special story sequences that happen at the end of runs, which apparently progress the meta-story that runs through it all, which Double Fine hopes will make RAD feel fresh, even though it's a familiar genre. And really, the post-apocalyptic setting and the mutations are perfect for that. You never know what's going to happen to your character next, and it's all about adapting and using what you're given, not what you wish you were given. And yes, it can be frustrating, but not in the sense that when you die it feels like time wasted. Whether your run lasts 10 minutes or 30, it's always different and you always learn something new, which leaves you wondering, well, maybe my next run will be better. All this means we can't wait to try it on the Nintendo Switch, where runs can be long or short enough to tackle on your commute. Just, be mindful of your fellow travelers when you want to scream into a pillow when your snake-headed, fire-lobbing, radioactively charged teenager and their tiny family of follower spider babies dies out in the middle of nowhere to some freak accident involving a floating eyeball. That's rad, baby. Just pick yourself up and try again. If you enjoyed this video, then why not enjoy another? There's a fine selection on screen now. Subscribe to Eurogamer for a lovely new gaming video every day if you feel like it, but no worries if not. Thanks for watching this one. Bye!